I remember a beachcomber. Right, last time we were at Seaside Heights. And in the morning, right, pretty soon after the sun came up, before anyone else was on the beach, he walked with a metal detector, and he had headphones on so he could hear better. And in the other hand, he had like a scoop on a longer handle. So he walked and paid attention, and then I saw him at some point, he stopped, and then he scooped, and then he looked in the scoop if there was something, and if he couldn't see it, he kind of took a little bit of water to wash the sand out of the scoop. And then if he had found something, well, he took it and placed it in his bag. That's a little bit how I imagine Jesus going around too, searching and looking for what is lost, what is out there, what is beautiful and valuable, but what has been maybe tossed out and disregarded, but which is still worth finding and looking for. And I know that there are some pieces of me that seem to be disregarded and lost. And what are those pieces? Well, the invitation of today's scripture reading is when Jesus describes the great reversal. The Jewish people thinking of themselves being God's favorite people. You can hear that in your ears. America, God's favorite nation. Each one of us, God's favorite person. There is a truth to that at some point. It's the truth of being God's beloved and God's grace shining on each one of us. But there is another truth too, that the person next to us, or the person that lives in another nation, or a person that looks differently than you and I do, or a person that votes differently too, that's God's person too. So this Roman centurion, it's just a commander in the Roman army, he is a person of God too. He deserves God's grace as much as you and I do. Even though the Jewish people looked down on him, when a Roman was around, they felt like spitting on the ground, if not spitting in their face, because that was so offensive that they would have had to pay with their lives for it. So what is the image of the person you dislike, you are rubbing against and feel like not very likable? Who is the person who rubs you the wrong way, the enemy image? And Jesus says there is something about that person that is worth loving. There is something about that person worth looking at. There is something that that person whom I do not like, whom I'm rubbing against, there is something that person can teach me. Just as this centurion becomes exemplary in his faith, to learn from someone I don't like. That goes deep, because it's easy to love the ones you like. It's easy to love those who are part of your family, the insiders, those who belong already. It's not so easy to love the outsiders, the ones who are different than I am. So what attitude does it take to do that? How do we learn to bridge that gap? Well, this last week, One of our very dear friends from back in Virginia died. He was 95, he lived a full life, a very blessed life. But his life's attitude, his way of living was every person he saw, he treated like a long-lost friend. Not just you, not just you, not just you. Everyone he treated like a long-lost friend, just waiting to be reconnected with. Can you see what a beautiful attitude that is? To encounter people, a long-lost friend to reconnect with. To belong. You and I were called to be those hands and feet and hearts of Jesus, making those connections, reconnecting with those who feel excluded as outsiders, those who are hurting, those who feel like broken and falling apart. In that beachcomber, I see Jesus walking, looking for bits and pieces, for small treasures. What broken pieces in you is Jesus looking for to gather them back in?